Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to an hour late and messed up episode of the Husker Happy Hour, coming straight to you from the Adobe Inn in Durango, Colorado. So, if there's anything wrong with the picture of the mic that night, it's because I hit the road without my camera slash microphone. But this is the one I've been turning to when you told me the other one was tinny, and if it's 10 tonight, there's not a lot I can do about it. But it's been it's been a wild, whacked out day. So here we go. So many mistakes have been made. The most egregious was that I knew I was going to be losing an hour, but when it came time to pump in the show yesterday, I naturally put up 8 p.m. thinking it meant 8 p.m. Central as always. No, it's 8 p.m. Mountain, so it's 9 o'clock there. I see some people dribbling in. I'm not expecting the biggest audience tonight. So those of you that found me, glad to have you. So here's what else happens: is I drove all day here yesterday. Let's see what we do. I took off bright and early, and so when the sun rose an hour and a half or two down I-80 West, uh, I'd already collected some bugs on the windshield, but the rearview mirror gave me an actual great shot of sunrise. So I really couldn't resist taking a picture of that. So here I was, jamming down the road. This is probably at about 7:30 in the morning when it officially came over the horizon there. And so yippee. So just drove straight through yesterday. Came and went pretty quickly. I mean, it's as quickly as quick as when driving straight from Durango, which is about a 12 and a half hour, on the road deal. About as quick as it just. I was in Denver by lunchtime, and if you hit Denver by lunch, the Denver to Durango part of it's the pretty part of it where you hop on US 285, go through the couple versions of the high plains in the middle of the state with the Rockies on either side, and then hit the southern highway heading west to Durango, which takes you over a beautiful view of Wolf Creek Pass. So good drive yesterday, and then today I get a lot of the coordination stuff done, and then I decided to head. It was a beautiful day here, like mid-high 60s, and there's a little mountain in the middle, right in the middle of Durango that's only about a mile and a half or two up, but it's pretty straight up. It'll take you from about 6,500 to 7,500 or 8,000 feet. Well, and this time, I've gotten to where I can skip. You suffer a little going up, but it's not too bad. This time, all of a sudden, I think I'm not sure. At first, I'm going, well, maybe it's a little altitude sickness, but legs and all that are fine, but lungs are burning a little more than usual. And all of a sudden, I'm just snotty as hell. I'm sneezing, and I'm like, well, I don't think this is on the altitude sickness playlist. And I come back down, and I was like, pollen levels in Durango, 0, 0, 0. And I think I just had a little cold hit me. So I finish up, come back down, get a big old dinner, and then throw in some of that zinc that gets rid of it, and it starts going away. And I just think I had a cold, just kind of hit me out of the blue. It's like my throat, lungs are like still a little, feeling it a little, but not burning anymore. I still feel a little loopy, so this could be a lot of fun, but this isn't going to be the longest one. We don't have a big scouting report on our next opponent the bye week, but we definitely want to talk about Michigan a little. So things will get a little weirder than usual, possibly. The Adobe Inn, most of the hotels in Durango, I think, until it's that, and I don't think we're quite there yet. Just kind of that in between summer hanging out in cooler Durango and hiking season and skiing season, because you have Purgatory and Wolf Creek not far away, so a lot of people stay in Durango. But the hotels love to gouge a little. It's a tourist town, and you've got places like Hampton Inn, or your general like $120 to $150 night becoming $200 to $250 a night. The Adobe Inn's just a lovely, quirky little hotel in downtown. Didn't get the camera out quick enough. After I checked in, and then I was heading down just to grab some. It's called Seriously Texas Barbecue, and there's one on either end of town. And I'm usually staying on kind of one end or the other. Going there to pick it up. There's a high school. Here's the like the 4-lane main drag with the turning lane that goes through all of town. And there's a high school right there, just about a block past the high school, not quite to the barbecue place. I look, and here's traffic pulling up. Here's 2 deer wandering out in the middle of the road. Only it's 5 deer. The 2 are just like coming out to stop traffic. I mean, they not with the hooves or anything, but you can see the thing is like, all right, kids, let's go. And here's like one more kind of adult deer, and then 2 that were looking younger. But they did. They just came. The 2 of them came out, stopped 4-lane traffic. Well, 5 deer then made their way across the highway. But then a guy I met on the trail today was saying, "Yeah, deer are a dime a dozen out here." And I was thinking, it's like whenever I go to Hitchcock over there by Crescent Ski Area. Well, now they're kind of together. That the state bought all that land, so you actually can hike right behind the slopes at Crescent. But deer out there, you'll see the deer out there. Unless it's a super busy day. Best time to go is in the winter when it snows, because then they'll almost sneak up on you because the snow just dampens all the sound. And whenever I go after a snow, that I will almost always see deer. So we have our share too. I don't know that we call them dime a dozen yet, but anyway, kind of a neat thing. So the Adobe Inn, it is a $90 a night place that in most other towns would be 50 or 60. The guy behind the counter was telling me how how he had a dog, got it back because he had to go to the halfway house for a while, and just super nice guy. Showed me pictures of the dog. It's this pit bull lab mix that just looks like the sweetest, bestest boy, and just a cool hotel. Last time, I think when I was here with my son 2 years ago, we got done hiking, came back. You just go to hotels.com, find what you can. And we were here, and I think about the other 80% had a biker gang staying. And yes, it got a little loud later, but it's like it wasn't that kind of biker gang that was looking to disrupt the town. It was the middle of like a Labor Day celebration. So this year I'm about a month past Labor Day. I did that because it was kind of trafficy going home after. So I was like, note to self, we really don't need the Labor Day celebration, but not because of the bikers. Good guys. So anyway, let's check the comments and maybe even talk a little football. I expect the abuse to come hot and heavy, and in a weird way, I'm craving it. So do your list. Let's see who we got. Hey, Fred, you're late. No shit, Fred. Like our offensive tackles and their blitz pickups. They weren't late, and we're going to talk about that. They were backing up, and it's funny. You give them 2 more steps to run, and they're going to look like they're coming really fast because they are. But yeah, thanks. Let's see who else we got here. We've got Perpetually Indignant with well now, and Go Big Red right back at you. Got Braska Rascal here. He loves Estes Park. Colorado with the mountains is so amazing that everybody can have their own kind of place, and there's just so many different trails, looks, adventures you can have. I mean, I've been coming to the Weminucci. My uncle wrote for National Geographic, and just one of the great stories of load up that expense account. Took his wife, my mother, me, his son's girlfriend, and then photographer and photographer's girlfriend. And we got to go on. That was my first time. Hey, here's a little map. Even Weminucci Wilderness. A little beat up. It's been through some stuff, but we took like I think about a 5-day, 4-night, 6-day, 5-night hike somewhere in there. He wrote a article on the Continental Divide, because that one went for a stretch of Continental Divide, and yeah, I've been coming here, and I'll do these days. I've been doing, it feels like, more day hikes than overnight hikes, and I probably still haven't even walked maybe a third, nowhere near a half of all the different trails. I guess it's the largest protected wilderness area in Colorado. I thought I saw somewhere in the country, but I think it's Colorado, which is still saying something. And it's just an amazing place. But yeah, but then you've got, I mean, the Rockies take up like the entire middle of the state, and it's just so much to do, so much to see, and I've just enjoyed. Now, instead of coming to a place and trying to figure it all out, I keep coming back to Durango because I've got Durango mostly figured out. Like I don't need to constantly hovering over a map, or I guess nowadays it's the navigation, which is right there. But I've kind of got my spots now. Got a couple of people I know, and anyway, yeah, fun place. Yeah, there you go. Hey, The Shining. Yeah, what was the actual hotel called? The Stanley Hotel. Oh, and I love to throw in a movie or two that's not necessarily a sports movie. If you read The Shining, Stephen King wrote a book called Doctor Sleep, which was a sequel to The Shining, and is a sequel to his version of The Shining, not Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining, which had Jack Nicholson trying to kill his family and freezing to death in a maze, none of which was in the book. In the book, the hotel is possessing him, but at the end, he's the one trying to save his family. He's not, his family. I mean, they're escaping the hotel, but he's trying to take out the hotel. And King had a problem with that, but Kubrick said the book sucks, so he made it better with the movie. And they literally hated each other's guts. Went through a court thing, went through a mediation thing where they basically both were told no more ripping each other in public. I think King waited until about a day after Kubrick died, realizing Kubrick can't come after him, to rip on Kubrick some more. Anyway, they made a Dr. Sleep movie directed by Mike Flanagan, who also directed Life of Chuck, which I've talked about before. Unbelievable movie, fantastic movie. It probably won't win Best Picture at the Oscars, and I'm going to be furious when it doesn't, because it should. But he also found a way to bring the book Dr. Sleep with the King books with the Kubrick movie and bring them together for a movie. So if you go see the movie, it will make sense because he brings in like all of Kubrick's stuff from the movie while bringing in the new book, Dr. Sleep, or newer book. I think he wrote it in about 2019. But unbelievable movie. It's fantastic. I mean, it's one of those, it will emotionally get you, but it is also very much a crazy horror, like just crazy, chilling, gross horror movie too. So there's my recommendation. It's your fault, TSD. You said The Shining. You set me off. It didn't take much. Oh, so Perpetually is in I guess Colorado or possibly the Southwest area. If I am, happy to be there. Let's see who else we got. Yeah. might as well start dipping our toes in this. Teddy P can't get low. No, and I will tell you what, after walking by him at the first practice this year where we got to wander around, take pictures and whatnot, Teddy P's every inch of 6'10". There's no, pardon? Ugh. These stupid sneezes. That's why it feels more like an allergy attack than whatever little cold is going on. But anyway, Braska Rascal lived in Durango. Hey, tell me more about it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you thought of it. I came close a couple times in the last 5 years to picking up and moving here. I was almost ready. Decided against it, but it doesn't mean I've given them up. I don't know. We'll see. Good to hear. What else we got? How many? Justin asked, how many times do you have to walk the trails to walk around the earth? Just the trails here? No idea. I could probably look that up pretty easily. It's a lot of miles of trails, I'll tell you that. And he says, howdy as well. Let's see, where are we at? Dr. Sleep, didn't that star Bill Cosby? Fred. Our newest member of the coordination staff, Fred Sacco, jumping in. And the answer to the question is no, not too soon. Been plenty of time. Bill Cosby. Jokes against anybody, you're fine. Let's see. Justin says, Fred, we're running on the same wavelength. Let's see. They'll do a remake, and it'll star Leslie Jones in Nicholson's role and Pedro Pascal for some reason. I don't know who Leslie Jones is. You don't mean Leslie Nielsen from The Naked Gun, do you? And did anybody see the one with Liam Neeson? I didn't, and I wanted to know if that was any good. I I like the idea of him trying it. The big remake they messed up was when they redid Fletch with John Hamm, and I couldn't make myself. I saw a clip or two, and I'm like, this is awful. And you had the new Fletch right in your backyard, and you didn't run with it because that should have been Ryan Gosling. If you saw that, I think I've mentioned The Nice Guys before, and then to see him in the Fall Guy, the remake, it's just like a whatever, and it even brought the old Fall. Lee Majors and Heather Thomas had a little cameo at the end, but Ryan Gosling is just funnier than shit. There's just no better way to put it. I know he came off as the Dreamboat, did one of the Nicholas Sparks romance movies. But if you start with the Nice Guys, him and Russell Crowe, you can see Russell Crowe in certain scenes of the Nice Guys fighting for his life. I mean, chewing the inside of his cheek, biting his lip, just like trying, like putting his head down so he doesn't look at him. And the thing is, like, Russell Crowe is pretty funny in there too, but Ryan Gosling is just unchained finally in The Nice Guys. And if you were going to redo Fletch, he would have been the perfect, just doing his Ryan Gosling version of Fletch. So nothing against you, John Hamm. John Hamm's a fine actor. I enjoy him. I've seen him interviewed. He can be pretty funny. PJ Fleck lives in Estrogen Park. Yeah, he does. Him and his eye injury. No, you got a facelift, PJ. Hint. I know a couple people who get a little bit done, a little graft here, a little this there, and it looks fine. Their cheeks still move when they talk. The lips don't look like something you want to sprinkle feed into the pool, into the tank so they can eat. It can be done. It's just, PJ, did anyone show you a picture of before and after and you didn't even think to go, that's after? Or I mean, that after doesn't look anything like before. And yeah, it was bald, but other than that, what do you know? But anyway, yeah. PJ, and thanks for just making it funnier every time you win by telling your team to catch you and let you body surf your team, because let's remind everyone, as always, this is all about PJ. Where's Minnie? Minnie gets mad at me that I make fun of PJ, but come on, how can you not? I mean, maybe if you're a Minnesota fan, and yeah, he's turned you guys into 7-5, 8-4 Warriors, and yes, that's better than what we've done the last 10 years. I know, but it's just comedy. I've never seen a coach try so hard to be the center of attention every waking minute. I don't know. Does he ever let his players be interviewed? I'm sure he does, but it would surprise me. Yeah, Pedro is and everything else. Well, I'll tell you what. After Pedro, oh God, the Red Viper, Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, just scene stealing everything he was in by just being a pansexual badass. Loved it. Always will. What else we got? Let's see. I would side with Kubrick films over King novels, at least as far as who hit the higher peaks. Yeah, but I disagree on The Shining. And you can make the case for that. Kubrick was very arty. Stephen King is not an arty writer. He, by his own admission, and this is from one of his, sometimes he'll do like some pretty fun preambles to his. Usually, it's like to a collection, sometimes to a novel. But he said, here's his secret to horror writing. Said, first, I will try to horrify you. If I can't horrify you, I'll try to frighten or scare you. If I can't scare you, I'll just gross you out because I'm not proud. And yeah, that's him. But I also thought the book was a lot more interesting than the movie Shining. I side with King on that, and not just to side with him. The movie had some really slow spots, and then also just to kind of I don't know. I guess I think flipping the ending or going to a completely different ending pissed King off more than me. But I liked it. And if you ever watch Doctor Sleep, I think you have Flanagan letting everybody kind of you'll know what I say if you've read the King version of The Shining, and then you see how the King version, or there's not, that's the only version, but the Doctor Sleep ends. Like I think you got Flanagan there going, I heard you, Stephen King, and this one's for you. Don't get me wrong though, the Doctor Sleep is fantastic. It is intense. There's gore. There's scenes which just almost break. There's a scene or two that will almost break your soul. But he brings all that out he brings heart into the horror movie. I haven't seen, was it Midnight Mass? I think was one that put him on the map and attracted King's attention. But from what I've heard, one of the things that he's got going in his horror movies is he gets you caring about the main characters. So like if you've ever seen Warrior with Nick Nolte, Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, by the time the fights start in the second half of that movie, you are bleeding for everybody because of what the first half of the movie put you through with that family. So if you like that, and I love action, I love comedy, but I also like going to a movie and getting the full gamut of the emotions wrenched around a little. If you can do that for me, and it gets a little dusty in the theater sometimes, you've done your part. And by doing it with more than just say the music and killing the dog, you kill the dog, you're lucky if I don't walk out of the theater. That's like I'm never for killing the dog for, hey, here's why the hero's enraged now sake. It's like I get it, but I don't like when you kill the dog at the movies. So just know that if any of you are aspiring directors. But no, Scott Flaherty, appreciate the opinion. I love the stuff that gets me thinking. Good comment. Let's see what else we got. Fred, this is perfect because I think we're on the same wavelength there. I bet I know how PJ got that eye injury. I'll leave that to everyone's imagination. I'm not going to even act it out quickly, but I think we're coming from the same place. Let's see. Where's this coming from? Oh, here we go. I slid away. Let's see. Oh, I think this thing jumped down on me, so I'm going to back up here a little bit. Let's see. We're talking Lovely Nielsen. Okay. Is this year's Huskers team better than the 21 Huskers? Because Nebraska came closer to beating, Michigan in 21, but that was also Michigan's first year of Connor Stallions. Because if you noticed in 20, it was bad. Nebraska was 3-5, and then Michigan was 2-4 and took their ball and went home. And at that point, Harbaugh's seat was flaming because he couldn't get Michigan, he couldn't develop a quarterback to save his life, and he wasn't doing well. And we were in the same spot, and then they explode to 3 straight playoffs off of that. So anyway, yeah, this will be, you know what, that 21 Huskers, I get a lot of people who rip on Frost, but the fallacy of comparisons there. All right, let me get rid of the dry mouth for this one. Is they throw Riley's record up there to somehow say that Riley was not as bad for Nebraska as Frost, which I would fight tooth and nail. I actually did an article at the end of Riley's turn showing that not only was he shitty, but he did it with 3 of the easiest schedules Nebraska ever had. And then Frost turned around and got the tough schedules flipped to him. And then the 3-9 the famous 3-9, lost 8 of them by 1. Well, 7 of 8 by 1 score, but the other was by 9 points to Ohio State, and that one was in doubt well into the fourth quarter. So I kind of think of that as a 1-score loss. In the conference, they went 1-8, and the points for and against were dead even because they were plus 49 against Northwestern, 56-7, and minus 49 against the other 8 teams. And so there's that. I would say that most of Frost's teams would have absolutely destroyed the Riley teams. And let's say that the last full year is the year you get. that 3-9 team blows not only Riley's last team, but that what do you call it? That paper champion team that won like nine games or 10 games in his middle year. But it was just a brutal easy schedule. They were playing teams that were in the bottom 30 or 40 in the country and were winning these games by pulling away late in the fourth quarter. They got to number 7 at 7-0 and a worse 7-0 team in the top 10 I doubt you've ever seen. So I would say that number 21 Huskers team, are we going to have a better record than that team? I'd bet money on that. I'd bet money we're doing better than 3-9. But it might be said at the end of the year that those teams are probably a little more even than their final records will indicate. And Scott Frost even said when he got here, he was telling people behind the scenes, I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. And when he left, Rhule came in thinking it was going to be awful and saying, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. These guys are in way better shape than I thought they'd be. There's actually a pretty decent culture in place here. I mean, because the football team had a good culture. Scott Frost didn't have a good Scott Frost culture, but he had improved things over Riley. Records be damned. Now, I will tell you this honestly, that ends at the end of that 21 season, because those first 3 games of 22, which I assume includes the entire summer of him seemingly not involved in recruiting very much, that whatever had happened before kind of broke him and he had checked out. And so anyway, yeah, that's a good question to ask. But that Michigan team was a playoff team, and I don't think, and a 4-team playoff, and I don't think this Michigan team is that. Granted, that team got run by Georgia pretty good, but they made the playoff. Let's see who we got here. Fred says the Liam Neeson Naked Gun wasn't bad. Pamela Anderson allegedly did great deadpan humor. She was good. I think was she in the 33 and a third, I believe, or was that the first, or was she in the first one? I can't remember it all that well. I do remember just how well the whole O.J. Simpson thing happening just made his part in the Naked Gun movies just some of the best unintentional humor down the road, right up there with Lawrence Taylor saying, "Hey kids, don't do crack," after Bobby Boucher battles for a while, and then literally him getting arrested, supposedly being clean, and getting arrested for crack 8 days before the Waterboy premiered. Is like we did that on the first summer of the movie pod, and I remember I think, did Aaron do that one with me? He might have done that one with me too, but I just remember cracking up, explaining how I was in the theater like for that Friday night of the premiere with the future ex Mrs. Ketterson, and everybody, all these guys just started laughing and going, "Oh Jesus Christ!" When Lawrence Taylor, 8 days after his arrest, kids, that reminds me of my other piece of advice for you: don't do crack. And then you have all the girlfriends and wives who don't really know football, but they're going to get to take their husband's going to have to go to a rom-com with them after that, so they agree to go to Adam Sandler because he's funny, and they just didn't understand what was going on because that was one of those things that wasn't on the front page; it was on the sports page, and they're not reading the sports page. Not all, but let's just say the majority. So then you heard a lot of whispering. You just heard a massive whispering explanations from me, the other husbands and boyfriends, telling the wives and girlfriends, here's why everybody's freaking out, and then going, oh my God, that's so bad. So anyway, yeah, I don't feel like that's a stretch to go from the Naked Gun to the Waterboy, but yeah, let's see. So Perpetually says he's staying away from Hollywood's remakes. They're out of ideas. I kind of let Rotten Tomatoes and through Rotten Tomatoes, the reviewers, because then you get the fan reviews. I kind of let them make me decide, okay, is this just shit? Because it sounds like, oh, it's okay, it didn't really hurt the original. Then I'm like, okay, it's the same thing, or it's not interesting. But if there's a good one, the good ones will usually go in a different direction with the same thing, and that's kind of what the Fall Guy did. Fall Guy, I thought, was magnificent. Emily Blunt and, like I said, Ryan Gosling. Let's see, it just didn't look interesting enough. It seemed like some of the humor was there, but I would have needed to hear it from others if I was going to go do, especially in the theater, set aside some time for Naked Gun, which has been gone for a while. Redo Airplane. We can do Airplane, and because of political correctness coming in, and I'm not saying, political correctness sucks. A lot of it doesn't really. A lot of it's just like, be decent to others. But some of it is like, yeah, we're trying a little too hard at this point. And come back with Airplane and just do it just as back then it wasn't politically incorrect. It was just funny. Now you watch it today and I'm like, oh, that's taking a chance. But back then it wasn't. Now do it, make it politically incorrect as hell, and be unapologetic. And I think something like that could succeed. Now make sure when you're being politically incorrect, you're being funny and you're not just trying to be fucking mean to somebody or somebody you don't like. Yeah, you got to walk a little bit. Tropic Thunder, perfect example. So much offense with Tropic Thunder. I mean, that was one where Robert Downey Jr., for me, that was placing your career on the line. With the full confidence, I can do this and I can make it hilarious and I can walk away and people aren't going to say that guy's shitty and racist and all this. Man, did he, and he pulled it off. The blonde, blue-eyed Australian who, who basically has his pigmentation actually changed, so dyes himself black and then puts on the wig. Because one of the funnier things is I assumed he hair plugged his way to it. Nope, loves the hair too much. The hair gets pulled, and then there's a black dude and his contacts fall out, and there's a black dude with just big blue eyes and just whitish blonde hair. Absolutely, every one of them just hilarious. And I think like Tom Cruise, it's not looking good for him to get an Oscar. That should have been a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. Les Grossman, that is one of the funniest. I mean, hands down, just one of the funniest roles I've ever seen as the beefy, angry Jewish movie producer who just is abusive as hell. Especially when he doesn't know he's talking to. He's just mad because somebody challenged him. He doesn't know who it is. And he's just laying into, Far East heroin cartel, like in Thailand or something like that, and calling him every name in the book. Literally, go fuck your own face. And the guy's like what the hell? And it's like that. Finally, just comes up with a threat. He's gonna blow them all to hell. And I will fuck you up. Hangs up the phone, throws it to an assistant. Find out who that was for me. Just every part of it, just from the fake fat hairy big hands and arms. I mean, just walking around in those bodysuits, I understand can be miserable. So maybe that made it a little easier. And then he breaks out his dance twice in the movie. Once kind of the late middle part of it, and then he just does this amazing. Hollywood producer decided I own this planet and I'm going to dance my ass off. And Bill Hader, who was his top assistant in the movie, did an interview saying that they would have to cut because he is laughing. He's trying so hard not to laugh, and he's losing it all the time on Cruise. And then they cut, and then Cruise would start yelling at him like Les Grossman, I guess, and calling him an idiot and an asshole, which just made it worse. Then they're like, Tom, can you please? You're not helping. And so Bill Hader said, watch a lot of the finished takes in the movie. He goes, you can look at me. I am doing everything I can to avoid meeting his eyes. Steve said, because it got to the point where he even looked at him and he cracked up. So, I still think we can do some good remakes of some of the good raunchy stuff. And the best way to do it is just make it, throw it in everyone's face, don't apologize. And to me, Tropic Thunder is your blueprint. All right, so football. We haven't even really gotten going on yet. This is what I saw, though, and wanted to Steve Fromm's. Okay, so football operating costs out for last year. Nebraska, 84. Yeah, because Nebraska, that's, I think, something that Dan was talking about, which kind of started with Alberts. And I think it started with Alberts because he took over UNO program completely in the red. And they said that's the big advantage. And no, I think it was Trev Alberts talking about it, that said the big advantage Nebraska has money-wise is we're on top because they didn't accumulate any debt. They paid everything they did. They took no debt, and that is what slowed up South Stadium because unless you can get that all in donations, you think it might be a pretty hefty loan. But anyway, there's down at Iowa at 55-5, and yes, you think we got our money's worth? Absolutely, we did. But somebody down below, yeah, that was Steven again, goes, I think Iowa gets a pretty good bang for their buck. I agree, and I think they get the exactly the bang that they're looking for as the ceiling. 9-3, occasional Rose Bowl, 20 wins in basketball, but maybe make the round of 16. Not really lately, but consistently make the tournament and win games, which we haven't. So how much fun can we make of them? Whatever we want, right? It's Iowa. Who cares? Because we can always go 5, baby. 5. Shit, we got more in football than you got at anything. Anyway, it's Iowa. Who cares? But yeah, that's what I was looking for there. Let's see. We're back up. I went a little too far and we were estrogen, but yeah, good pull there with the operating budget, and yeah, and that's why we profit is we aren't paying off loans. Hey, let's see. Perpetually said, Fred, I haven't, but I believe it as I've been on an Archie Wilson. And not Andrew, right? Archie Wilson. I'm assuming the punter, since you said you've been on a kick. He got in the Houston Christian game, and he got to punt, and he looked good against Michigan. I don't think that I still don't think anyone's gotten a return. If they did, they didn't go. I think one guy maybe tried but didn't go anywhere. He did, after we somehow managed to be the one team in a million that can get a delay of game on a punt. He still booted him back to their 37, I think, kicking out of our end zone. So, yeah, we love Archie. And everything was left-footed, but trust me, he can pop it with the right foot, too. And I just think they had maybe it's his favorite cider. I think that's kind of where he ended up going. If we weren't in the middle, I think we were shaded right. So he just does that. And the thing is, man, when you don't go 1, 2, 3 boot, and you can tell that they've heard the skinny on him that we can't just go flying at this guy, or they might pull a little fake on us. So we've got to kind of play him straight, and then you give Archie the chance to take that little rugby skip and a walk, and then what you do is you give your guys about 15 more yards time to run upfield. Hey, like an Archie so far. Now he's showing that yes, there's a little bit of substance to it. Let's see here. Start scooting toward the bottom. Actually, he said, I think, mentioning back to the operating budgets, Indiana's getting some bang for their buck. Yeah, John went nuts. Is he going to ruin? He makes a great point. Is everybody going to start firing their coach every 2 to 3 years because they want their own Kurt Signetti? And now no one's going to be grabbing because everybody wanted you to work to head coach at like lower Division I first, but one double A or the bottom. But I guess Madison had made the move to Division I when he was hired, but they got their chops in one double A FCS or whatever. And yeah, there's some truth to that. And I think he had some people come at him with some money, and Indiana ponied up, and I think they've put a lot more money into the facilities. Could we see Indiana? Because hey, is he an annoying prick? Yeah. He's not quite as bad as PJ, because I get the feeling he's just an annoying prick. He's not a look at me annoying prick like PJ. And I'm telling you what, he walked the wall. He talked the talk at Big Ten Media Days 2 years ago, because that's where he said, I don't lose. I didn't come to the Big Ten to lose. You look at me in my career, my teams have only been picked last in the conference twice in my whole career. One time they won the conference regular season, And the other time they made it they qualified for like the conference final and lost. But he goes, I don't go anywhere to spend years, losing and hoping to get better. He goes, I come to win. Obviously, he knows how to recruit. I said, hey, okay, this is interesting. Now they're not quite at top 5 level because Notre Dame handled them pretty easily. Ohio State didn't have too much trouble with them in because they played them in the championship game, I believe, or did no, they played them regular season, but didn't get too much of a test from them. So here they are now. Instead of beating the brakes off Nebraska, they beat the brakes off Indiana. Probably shouldn't have been in the top 10, to be honest. Look it, man. We lost in overtime to them, and that's a team that I felt we lost more than they won. So if I sound pissy, fine, but that's the way I feel. So I don't feel that we were quite a top 10 team last year, but all of a sudden everybody's like, Illinois is amazing. I'm like, are they? And now they've gotten a boot in the teeth. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy than Burt, Mr. Fake the Injuries, Mr. Cheap Shot the quarterbacks, because your guy put a mean block on us. I'm not a fan. Never will be. Was really happy we never hired him, even if it would have made us better right then. I just wouldn't want to be cheering for that guy. So admit it now, I like Kirk a little because he put boots to asses on Burt, who likes to play tough guy with his team. So yeah, but Sig though, yeah, he came to that. He said he was going to win, and then he came to this year's Big Ten Media Days, and I basically just did an I told you so. We just put together the greatest season in Indiana football history, which I believe they did, and we're gonna get better this year, which right now looks like maybe we'll see. Can they make that leap to get a win against a legit top 10 team? We'll see. It's interesting. But yeah, Kirk, say what you will. Guy's been doing some coaching, been doing some recruiting. Yeah, his quarterback right now, I mean, this is the type of year that whoever had the big game weekend is now your favorite to win the Heisman. And Mateer's out for a few weeks, broke his hand, needs surgery or broke his hand or something. So John Mateer's that'll take him out of the Heisman running. He's going to miss a chunk of games. And yeah, and there we are. Now his quarterback's number one in the Heisman race with the bookies. And hey, who's going to have who better to have an unfettered opinion or an unbiased opinion there? So let's see if I can get to the bottom of these, and we'll see if we can actually get into talking a little football before the hour mark, or getting some sort of form goal. I told you it was going to be nuts tonight. I'm still kind of goofy, and the just dry mouth is off the charts. And boy, I didn't sleep in today for some weird reason. I am going to sleep in tomorrow. Nebraska is number 4 in all of college football and football operating costs. Okay, to me, that's step one if you want to get back in. I don't know. When we talk football, we'll talk the football end of it. The financial end is where we want it. If the football end doesn't improve, and I still think it's going to improve over last year. Somebody actually in a comment, and I can't remember the name, but I wouldn't mention it if I did. I don't like to drag people on their names because they had a hot take in an article comment that said something about, hey, not going for it on 4th down cost us our spot in the playoffs. And it's like, we lost 30-27, 3 points, but people say we did not win the line battles, and we lost to a team that isn't going to the playoffs. I don't think. I know that they've been fine. They've won their games. They're 3-1, and there's nothing wrong with the loss to Oklahoma, but they were not. They were rating them like top 10 or at least like 11 in the playoff, top 12. They're not top 12. Their offense still has some issues. I saw now. This is just that tells you the Heisman's looking at how your team does as much as individually. Is that Dillon had moved up into like the 40 something to 1 or 40 to 1 to win the Heisman, and he popped back to, I think he's back to like 100 to 1 now or something like that. When Bryce Underwood, who did run for a 37-yard touchdown, but just had a miserable day passing, like 12 something for 105 yards and just horrid quarterback rating, he jumps up to 33 to 1. in a game that his running backs won, and his defense. So, it's, I don't know. I guess you win, and maybe if you're a strong running team, then you don't have to pass the ball worth a shit. We were 6 yards from our fourth straight game of keeping the quarterback under 100 yards passing. I didn't see what he did yet or Saturday, but Kyle Sorsby of Cincinnati, the next two games after we held him to 67 yards passing, and he threw for 2,900 yards last year. He threw for like 333 and 287 the next two games. This is a legitimate passing quarterback. We held him to 67. Bryce Underwood. I said, sure, he's fast, legs. But the fact is, he I guess he identifies as a straight drop back quarterback with speed. But they don't really. Their offense isn't built around his legs. I think they maybe had one or two running plays for him, but it wasn't like they were suddenly like dialing up 10 or 11 runs. It was just, hey, if you can scramble, go for it, kind of like Sorsby. Everybody's, oh my God, he ran for 92 yards. And I'm like, and probably 75 of that was off of passing plays where he scrambled. That's not necessarily bad rushing defense. That's guys taking leaps at quarterbacks faster than them and leaving gaps out of the pocket and just being too quick for that diving. I need the sack instead of hold your ground, move laterally, and give the rest of your team a chance to get there. But yeah, Underwood's a guy that averages about 220, 230 yards a game passing, 105. So it's not all bad. Let's see. Oh, geez, Fred. Remembering my Stephen King. If I can't scare you, I can't horrify you, I'll try and gross you out. Bielema. Yeah, but Bert, you're grossing us out while you're trying to scare us and horrifying us, so it's not the same thing. And then, so yeah, I didn't want to go too deep into that because I'd already talked about Stephen King too long. But yeah, there's some. That's what I've read. Is there's some seriously that the Stanley is genuinely haunted. Let's put it that way. Not the kind of hauntings where people are being taken over by the devil and fires are starting on their own and people are dying all over the place. But yeah, weird haunted hotel. We had a haunted hotel we stayed in Madison one time. Miley was going up there for regional tryout hockey camp, and they had I was looking for a place to stay, and I say, hey, here's this old town. And was it Fond du Lac, I think, where it was being held. And here's this old hotel and down to Fond du Lac, and there's a ghost, and the ghost has been seen most frequently on, say, the 8th floor. I don't remember exactly. And we were on the 5th or 6th. And here's the thing: it's like Miley can play some tricks on you, but when Miley's genuinely freaked out, she's genuinely freaked out. And I just remember late in the room, the 30 for 30 about NC State and Jim Valvano came on. And so we're chilling watching that. She goes to use the bathroom and comes in. I hear it flush. And then she's like a minute or so coming out. And I hear the water get turned off and on. So I just thought she's washing her hands. And she comes in walking, looking white as a sheet. And she's like, okay, this is freaky. I'm like, what happened? And I think what she told me was, she said the faucets turned themselves on. She's like, Her first thought wasn't ghost. Her first thought was, oh, okay, I'll just turn them back off. Turned them off, turned around to do something, and they turned themselves on again. And she turned them off and left the bathroom, and that's when I saw her. And we didn't hear anymore, so apparently without anybody to fuck with, the ghost went on about, I believe that she went on about her business. So anyway, yeah, I don't think any of the Stanley stuff is that dangerous, but I had read where, yeah, they picked a good place to film. Yeah, let's see. Okay, here we go. Are we? Well, yeah, the question, and I understand without reading all that Nebraska. I understand we're not getting our money's worth. I was just saying the money's being produced, I guess. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said right now we're getting a good return on our investment. Let's put it that way. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I saw Bo not stop the jet sweep versus 7-5 Wisconsin. I saw Frost go for an onside kick in Dublin, probably fueled by Jameson, and 20 plus years of Husker nonsense. That's soul crushing. Yeah, this game wasn't soul crushing. I was just like, we got beat. Did we make mistakes? Did we have flaws get exposed? Yes. We didn't turn the ball over to them in a tie game with 30 seconds left. We didn't throw a crippling interception on the drive to win the game. Like we bounced back. We answered the bell at 10-0, 10-10. Boom. Haynes goes for next play. Haynes goes for 75, not counting the kickoff. 17-10. Hey, we get a Hail Mary to tie it at 17. Now there we are down 30-20. We have to go the distance, get a score of some kind, get an onside kick. Now, usually what happens is that, we get fired up and then we go out on downs or we throw a pick. But I can't remember the last time we went down and scored. 30-27, we tried an onside kick. I think it was Carter Nelson. I don't understand why he didn't just try to lay that guy that got the ball the fuck out, because it looked like he kind of jumped behind him and slapped at the ball. If you're going to do the slap at the ball thing, jump into him and punch the ball or punch his head, or that might hurt your hand. But you know what I'm saying. Wreck shit. It's an onside kick. They allow for a lot more. They allow for a lot of crimes against humanity on onside kicks. Commit a crime against humanity next time. But hey, we put ourselves in the position to have a chance, which I just say our one-score games were not really fueled by doing that. It was by bringing it within a score, getting the ball back, and then just or say like Michigan, the refs get involved. Hey, they've been holding him still for about 8.5, 12 seconds. Oh, and Aiden Hutchinson just went for Adrian Martinez. And you think we should put a stop to it? Not yet. No, let it. Okay, the ball's loose. Now. Okay. So, yeah, that kind of shit. But, yeah, thanks. You made me think of soul-crushing shit. Let's see. Look, if the dog's the villain, Justin, then, yeah, Cujo has to be put down. I don't have a problem with that. I'm at the part of Red Dead Redemption 2 where the bounty hunters have dogs now, and I didn't realize that like dogs have just been the sweet boys all through Red Dead Redemption 2. So now I'm turning into dog killer because these things just jump for your head, wrap themselves around your head, and then the screen grows gray and the red letters dead pop up on black. And so yeah, I'm not going to die for them. If they're trying to kill me, I will kill the hunting dogs in Red Dead Redemption 2 in self-defense. I'll allow it for movies. I'm talking about when Sweet Boy, John Wick's little sweet puppy, did that have to happen? I mean, I totally understand John Wick erasing a good portion of the world's population over 4 movies, but doesn't mean I have to like it. Let's see. Yeah, the perpetually indignant said, what, Cujo? Yeah, Cujo had to go. Yeah, man, it's your kid, and your kid that kid seemed just maybe a little autistic, but, pretty good. Seemed like a pretty nice kid. Scott Flaherty. I don't buy the conspiracy theory on Michigan rising because of Stallions. The NFL has drafted a ton of players from those teams. The NFL does not draft based on advanced coaching, which to me, but don't believe for a minute it didn't happen. That case has been laid out pretty solid, especially when I don't think he thought that the NCAA was really going to find anything, because here's one of the most damning parts of it, besides all the evidence, is that his big thing was he was buying tickets to everybody, and after a year of, I think, just scouting a few of the opponents, then he went really nuts in 22 and 23, and he is buying tickets for like multiple people at multiple games every weekend. And I believe they said he spent his salary, which was like, 45, 50,000. They said, because he was just, he's making jokes. Oh no, my mom and dad are there to scout the game. Oh my God, how evil am I? And he's being, an ass about it, but just trying to like snot his way through it like a typical Michigan fan would. And then they're like, but the thing was, he spent like $62,000 in tickets for people. That's more than he makes. This is not him, making it sound like, hey, I'm buying tickets for my pals. What's wrong with buying tickets for your friends? Because you don't make that much money. Not even close. So they're like, so this thing is organized enough where it's being financed by someone else. And besides that, they've got all these people on the stadium cams cameras pointed at the other sideline. It's not really a dispute of whether or not it happened. And yes, if you know what plays they're going to run, it gets amazingly simple. And one of my points was, this is a really good team anyway. They didn't have a lot of the sign stealing going in 22, but it got them to the playoffs. But were they ready yet? No. But you make the playoffs and you can recruit, you're upping. So I'm not saying they did it with no talent, but you look at what some of those scores were, and then what they were after they got fought and laid off, and there's a definite correlation there. So yeah, I thought it's very much a part of them winning a national title, or at least getting to that position. Because I guess my contention is, without the sign stealing that bumps them up when they're on death's door after 2020, 2-4 and we quit, and then playoff winner. And you start making playoffs, and then watch the recruiting increase. So yes, in that part, it definitely played a part. And knowing, and like I said, at the end of 23, okay, they won it, and they obviously didn't have the sign stealing going on anymore. So I agree, but you're not getting there without the sign stealing. And you're definitely, one of the funniest things to me was when they lost to TCU in the semis. Hey, the TCU coach came out and admitted he was contacted by other teams saying he was still there. They've got your signs. And so TCU literally put in plays that had the same formation as indicated in their signs, and they did like opposite with them. So yeah, bet them in the ass there. Maybe they would have won it in 22, but they were still under the assumption that they were getting away with it. And yeah, it was Sonny Dykes. Is that the TCU coach? Yeah, Sonny Dykes admitted this year. He goes, yeah, other teams came. He goes, I don't figure we're cheating if they're coming to us going, they're trying to cheat you. So yeah, we changed them all. We changed everything up, and good deal. And then you saw what happened when TCU played Georgia. Michigan would have, as a Georgia's my second favorite team. Blew the brakes off Michigan in 21, and then in 22, one of the things was he had sent his scouts to like 4 or 5 different Georgia games in 22 and 23. So maybe that's a better game in 22, even if they're not using signs. They've upgraded a little, and then because then what happens? Georgia beats TCU 65-7. I don't think they're 65-7 better than Michigan, but all of a sudden, here's the thing. Like I said, knowing the other team's plays makes a shit ton of difference. You know what else makes a shit ton of difference? Throwing the formations against the team that thinks they know your plays. And but TCU was just gashing Michigan's defense. Michigan had a damn good defense, and I don't think it was a bad enough defense to be giving up 40-something points to TCU. So I don't know. I agree with the point that they didn't necessarily have to do it, but yeah, it rose because of Stallions. I will disagree with that, because that's not a conspiracy theory. That's proven fact now. But I think, but obviously they won it without the sign stealing in 24, so they had built up. But yeah, going from where they were in 20 to what happened in 21, 22, 23. I don't think they even make the flip from 20 to 21 without some outside help. But if you don't agree, I can respect that. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna leave these here. Let's run through the game a little bit. We are an hour in, and I can go for a while tonight, unless I fall asleep in front of you here. Let's do it. I didn't go, since I'm out of state. I didn't go to either of the press conferences Monday or Tuesday. I did try to find the transcripts, and I will say this. Let me bring a couple of these up here. Oh, and guess who was at the game? Oh my God, I wanted to show you guys this. For those of you who haven't seen it already. Hey, look who's at the Husker game. Old Connor Boy himself. So there you have it. Let's see, what all did he say here? I called this from the "Hey, he's not wrong" files. Matt Rhule said, because everybody was like, "Oh no, nothing's going right," and his quote was, "We scored," and I paraphrased a little. "We scored 27 points, and we would have killed for 27 points at times last year versus a pretty good defense." And my thought was just last year, the year before was even worse. Well, pretty even on the score. I think the scoring was only a hair better, but yeah, this year we're seeing a difference. And even then, like, if last year's, let alone shoot 23 against this Michigan defense, that's one where maybe you're only scoring 7 or 10 again. But I did like that. It's like, hey, he's trying to go. Look, all is not lost. Now, here is one quote that nailed it. A friend of mine texted me. He spotted this before I did, and then when I got to watch some replays and I hear others talking, well, here the rush was just fast and furious, and I'm like, especially the outside guys, why are you guys just running backwards 2 steps? Because now there's no contact or slowing them down, and hey, they look like they're 20 yards into the 100-yard dash. Because if nobody's there to check you at all, you are not only going to look faster, you're going to be coming way faster than normal, unless you've just been forgotten, as the blockers just forgot you. Rhule said they edged us early, and then we started trying to absorb contact instead of taking the fight to them. And I think that's what he's saying, is they're just backing up and trying to get a piece of them down the road, at which point they're moving way faster forward than we are backward. And then on the run defense, okay. Here's what he said, and then I'll go with my follow-up answer. You can see these in our coordination tweets. If you take out the 3 long runs, it's not like they're just going 6 yards and 6 yards, because that starts to scare you. It means you can't stop anybody. But at that point, they're averaging 3.7 yards per carry, so you're stopping the run, and we were, and then bang an explosive play. Well, my thought was that quote isn't wrong, but when it becomes 3 explosive plays plus 3 third down missed third down tackles on 3rd and longs during that 16-play drive, then we can't just say, hey, we had it for a while, then we gave up runs of like 75, 37, and 56 yards or whatever it was. They're starting to look like the 82, 83 Husker teams against the New Mexico States of the world. And the thing is, some of that was scheme. I think Butler was throwing a lot of stunts in the first half, which was working for a while, but then they gave up the two gash runs in the first half. Was Underwood's third quarter? I thought it was still second quarter. But anyway, so is it scheme fixable? If it's something else, that's not necessarily stuff like people are trying to make excuses for Florida. They're just looking shithoused right now, but they're going, but this is a good team. So if they start cutting back on the mistakes and the bad penalties and start tackling better, I'm like, yeah, but you're naming 3 things that when they go wrong, they don't tend to fix themselves mid-season. It's almost like for the penalties and the dumb mistakes and all that, that's the kind of thing that kind of has to fix itself over time culturally. Before the first game, and I addressed this in the post-game recap, I kind of went down with like the good and the bad of everything. And I said, it's like John Butler before the Cincinnati game was talking about, and you just got to work on tackling. You got to make sure you wrap up. And no one had really asked him anything about the tackling directly because we hadn't had a game. And I think John Butler is trying to tell us we got a tackling problem. And I'm trying to do everything I can to fix it, but I don't know how, because what was his name? Zyshawn Edwards for Houston Christian broke a few tackles, but what those turned into was like 7-8 yard gains against the starters. And then he bounced out. Then they should have had him like for a 5-yard loss. No one wraps up. Everybody's grabbing at him. And then he bounces out to the left and he's gone for 45 yards and their first touchdown since Cincinnati. And then it all seemed there was a missed tackle or here occasionally, but that up until then they'd been covering it pretty well. They'd been, like I said, stuffing the run. So for the big runs, he said it, I said it. But then that 16 play, like 77-yard drive where they kicked the field goal to take it from 27-20 to 30-20, huge field goal. It made it a like 2-score game with either under 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And then we had multiple third and longs and gave them up. A couple of them, 3 of them, where that should have been stopped for no gain or in the backfield, and they break tackles and scamper down for first downs. That probably worries me more than anything, to be honest. And then what was that? Yeah, those are probably the Rhule quotes that stuck out about the runs, the backing off on the blocking and the points. Not a lot else interesting. I did like, and I didn't have the exact quote. I did like what Rhule said, where apparently it sounded they got done. They came in Sunday. He called a meeting, and they just pledged to, hey, we stay after this. We are not here to lose games. And it seems like a different mindset than the 10 years of losing 1-score games where it's like, well, all you can do is come back next time and try to put it out of our head, and stuff like that. And this team seems genuinely pissed about not finding a way to win that game. For example, when we beat Cincinnati, we took that game. We didn't give it away. We didn't try to give it away. And it was Hartzog, and he had the 10-yard, the defensive holding or whatever. And then he turns around the next play, gets perfect position, goes up with the receiver, and the little man just goes up, snatches the ball away. He grabs us a 1-score win. We didn't luck our way into one or anything like that, like letting the other team screw up. And we haven't really screwed up in that fashion. We're not mistake free, but it's not those mistakes which fall into 2 categories for me. Why are you making that simple mistake that an 8th grader wouldn't make in football? Why are you that an 8th grader wouldn't do, because he's played about 8 games of football and knows better? And then the one, why are you making this particular mistake at this point in time that has just probably lost us a game or put us in position to lose a game? And we haven't really had any of those. Were there mistakes? And Isaiah Hunter drifting out of the end zone and back in. But it happens middle of the game. It doesn't happen where let's say, the one where instead of, say, doing that little flip out RPO to Harburg and he scampers in. I mean, that would be like, hey, now we're hitting Isaiah in the back of the end zone and he got it, but he ran out of bounds. Why would he do that on 4th down? There weren't those kinds of mistakes. We got beat. We didn't do everything in our power to beat ourselves. We lost a football game. I don't feel like a random stranger just came up, dropped to one knee and punched me in the balls as hard as they could have, which is how I recall Northwestern in Ireland. That's one where I just paid my tab. Fortunately, it was dog sitting, went home, let the dog out in the front yard and played with the dog for an hour, and my evening was fine. But I did not arrive home feeling that happy or even close. So yeah. Let's see. So the drive chart was very different this time. I make the case for that, and I'll tell you why. Going forward on 4th down, I would have taken the 3 there, and I'm a guy that loves to yell "go for it" on 4th as often as possible. 10 plays, 70 yards. The first 8 plays with 68 yards, and then on second 3, we decided to effectively just take a knee under center, because we called an end zone fade from the 7 to the opposite side of the field. I feel like those are completed about as often as we see meteor showers. Inexplicable. It's not a go-to. I think the only quarterback we ever had who could effectively throw a fade and had 6'4", 6'5" receivers to catch him was Zach Taylor. I remember him hitting Maurice Purified and near the end of the game down at Kyle Field to upset Texas A&M. But to me, the fades you might just throw it out of the end zone and you're taking less of a chance than that fade getting popped in the air. I don't like the fade. And then what do? I think rammed it into the line for a yard on 3rd and 2, and then just rammed it in the line on 4th and 1, and you're just a few yards away. don't, it's, to me, that's not the time. They didn't run a tush push, but they still just jammed it up the middle. And trying to force our will on people with a yard to go hadn't worked out. Have some imagination. So, run something up, but give them the feeling that something other than what's about to happen is about to happen. Go out of a short shotgun. Set up. I don't know. I just give them a look that doesn't say we're ready to challenge your manhood, but again, we're basically maybe they're trying to pull the old Nebraska days where was it Zadiska who said, yeah, we'd come to the line and tell them we're running at you and you can't do anything about it. I don't think those days are really coming back for anybody. And one team that's definitely not at those days is us. Go for it in 4th and 1. But where was the Harburg play then? I feel like it would have worked just as well. And that's 3 or 7 points that we don't get in a 7-3 game. Then we get the ball in the short field after they gork a 24-yard punt. We move it 7 yards and have a 46-yard field goal, and Canaan misses his first attempt of the year. Then we went 3 and out pick, 3 and out -9 yards punt, and then what was it? I think Barney had the 20-yard return. We get a field goal, and then we go 7 for 63 with a TD, 7 for 75 with the Hail Mary, and we're tied at 17-17. Now, one interesting thing, Michigan was much more consistent offensively. It didn't look amazing in the first, but it did in the second, and here's why. In the first half, the first quarter yards were 99-96 us. The second quarter yards were 154-99 us. And so we've got about 60 more yards than they do. Why are we just tied? That very first drive where we get down to their 6 and come away with no points. Then but here's what happens in the second half. They get 106 yards in the third, 90 yards in the fourth. So in all 4 quarters, they got at least 90, no more than 106. They just pop that output every quarter. We go to 43 yards and 55, 43 yards in the third, 55 in the fourth. And for a second half total of 196-98 Michigan, there's your ball game. I appreciate our scrappiness because at that point, we ended up losing the total yards bet, or total, we had the 60-yard lead in the first half. At the end of the first half, we ended up losing the game lead 391-351. So we lose it by 40 yards, but we still scrap back, lose by 3. I'm fine with that. They finished with 286 yards rushing, or 292 yards rushing to 92 for us. It wasn't 43. The college football just can't go sack yards lost are just their own team yards lost. They're not lost. But what they do is they take them out of the rushing yard totals, and then they have a separate category for rushing adjusted for sacks. Sacks is not your running game. So no, we didn't rush for 43 yards. We rushed for 92. We still want to rush for more. But then so they outgained us 292-92, a little more than double. But we almost tripled them in passing yards, 308-105. So there is that. And Underwood's, like I said, he averages over 200 yards a game. So that's not nothing. Anyway, he hit second half drive chart, 3 yards for -5 and a punt. 3 plays, 5 yards punt, 3 plays, -6 punt, 12 for 55, 12 plays, 55 yards field goal, 3 -5 punt, and then 10-75 and a TD. And there's your ball game. Donovan. It's usually I kept calling Donovan Dylan. Now I'm calling Dylan Donovan. Dylan, good game. Now, he did have the pick, and he was trying to force one in where there were 2 guys. One of them got it in the air, popped it up. The other guy caught it. But do we really just want him taking the safe shot every time? Because he does squirrel some of those balls. Yeah, if I could squirrel some of those balls through thin holes and makes good things happen. He finished 30 of 41, 73%, 308 yards. And remember, it would have been 320 yards, 29 completions, but Henry Lutovsky had the urge to catch that ball, which we all thought was deflected, but then they ruled he hit his arm, or no, they ruled he hit his arm so that it was a pass. If you hit his arm, I believe, but he didn't hit the ball, because if they deflect the ball, then everyone's an eligible receiver. But they ruled he hit his arm, so he was an ineligible receiver, and they declined the penalty, obviously. So Hank got a minus 12-yard reception. Sorry about that, Zap. I'm sure Raiola didn't care. And then I think his QBR was 155.5 for the game. Underwood's was like 105 because his passing stats were lousy. Emmett, 19 carries, 65 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. His long was 14. We definitely lost the yards per carry and the long carry battle to Michigan. Emmett, a few others, it just seemed like they slipped a few times, barely got tripped. It looked like one of those games where there were 4 or 5 plays that looked like they were going to break for more than they did. Didn't happen. Wish it did. But you know what? If ifs and buts are candy and nuts, and every day be Christmas in Nebraska. Ja'Cory Barney with another monster game receiving. 6 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 20 yards per catch, and his long was the Hail Mary. Yeah, call it a fluke, but he fought and got the ball. That's not a got lucky. That's Ja'Cory Barney working his ass off like he does on every play. He also carried, let's see. No, Emmett had 5 catches for 32 yards, 6.4 consistent, 8-yard long on averaging 6.4. So Emmett still had 97 yards of total offense. So could have been more. And then I think Luke Longmire, who Dana Holgerson called Raiola's security blanket, had 7 catches for 60 yards and a long of 23, which I believe is also his career long. Not much going on. I kind of like to focus on some bench stats. Probably the top bench guy was Mekhi Nelson. He did have 3 carries for 19 yards, 6.3 yards for average. Also caught one for -4, but I don't know. What are you going to do? And finally, at least before we get back to comments and I find out what some of you guys are thinking tonight, some of the numbers that makes 5 straight wins for Michigan over Nebraska. We lost our Big Ten opener for the 6th straight season, but Barney now has 3 touchdowns. He has touchdown receptions in his last 2 games after going 15 starts, like his freshman year plus thus far this year, going 15 games without a touchdown. Now you can't keep the guy out of the end zone. Raiola's interception was his first interception in his last 124 attempts. Not too shabby. And also another Ja'Cory Barney stat. His return puts him at, I believe, 100 and something, 110, 100 and something yards. He becomes the first Husker with over 100 punt return yards in a season since J.D. Spielman in 2019. So good for you, Ja'Cory Barney. And on the plus side, in Nebraska is still the only team thus far in 2025 in FBS games that has not allowed a reception over 20 yards, and they are one of 7 teams that still has allowed no touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns through week 4. So, the poll questions this week, I asked what is the scariest flaw that you see right now, and I was like, is it our run defense? Is it our offensive line blocking? What was my third one? Or is it what was it? O-line, just offensive line blocking altogether, run, but then the 7 sacks, which was, I think, ghastly was the word I used. What was the other thing? Shoot. Because it's not really nothing in the kicking game. Well, the kickoffs, but then we don't have Hall kicking off anymore. Maybe I can't think of it. It's a good one though. Go see the article. It's called the Nebraska React Survey. We do it every week. And then I said, what's the positive? And is it Dylan Raiola? Obviously, is turning himself into one of the top quarterbacks in the country right now. And he did it yesterday by putting up a very good game where he was running for his life most of the time. But a lot of times, if they couldn't get him right away, he was squirreling around, finding another open spot of ground, and then finding that open receiver and zipping it to him. I think he's like third or fourth or fourth maybe in completion percentage nationally. And then what were the other things I said? Like Dylan Raiola, the defensive secondary, holy cow. I mean, they're just giving up nothing through the air. And a lot of them are coming up and piling up the tackles as well. And that's helping the run game when they're not letting anybody complete very much for any kind of distance. So it's not piling up tackles, because sometimes defensive backfields with high tackle numbers is a sure sign that your pass defense sucks, but because they're all tackles downfield. Not the case. They are turning into one of the best pass defenses in the country right now. We'll see if that continues through Big Ten play. But when you can lose a guy like Hartzog, and now all you do is you throw in another black shirt, Donovan Jones, because he can play any of those positions. You've got those seniors and Donovan Jones, the sophomore, who Butler describes as being the size of, as being 6 foot, 200, fast enough to play corner, but will come up and hit you like a linebacker. So they gave him a black shirt. They said, well, he's always in somewhere back there. They were talking about thinking of him as a starter before the Cincinnati game. He's got a black shirt, and he was the one in the Pinstripe Bowl that all three of the players interviewed afterwards. And I asked one of the questions, Jamie, but I just said, hey, which one of these guys that got a lot of practice time, play time with with everybody on defense leaving the transfer portal, who made the best of it? And I think it was Ramir Johnson was like, Donovan Jones played his ass off. Raiola called him out for going up against the number ones and just making their lives miserable. And Dylan Raiola said he thought he's like the leader of the next wave of great All-American Nebraska defensive backs, which was a thing. And so that's why I said that was the second one. The defensive backs, I just started thinking that they went on a tear. Sorry. And then finally I said, this team appears to have a little bit of "we don't quit" in us that has been sorely missing. They kept answering the bell. So those are the three good things to choose from. So go in there, go into the Nebraska React Survey. It should still be near the top of the page. I posted it yesterday, and cast your votes. And then when I'll get those back, usually late Thursday, Friday sometime, and then I'll post your results up there, and they make them look pretty, and that's something special. So there you go. Let me take one big pull of water. Thank you for your patience. Now let's go see where we are in the comments, and that's all I got for tonight, because like I said, we don't have to scout the bye week. I expect another big win there. Huskers 27 by week 3. All right. Was this the Pam Anderson we were talking about? Because I do remember this. That was Anna Nicole and 33 in the third. Yeah. And people wonder, oh God, what was his name? The movie producer that thought he had the right to sleep with anyone cute that he hired. But anyway, yeah, that if you wonder why people like Anna Nicole Smith get hired for the Naked Gun 33 or third, there's your answer. Let's see. Yeah, it takes more time to develop offensive and defensive lines than it does skill players. And what a horrid time to lose Nash and Polar Bear, huh? Because we are a little undersized there. But I didn't think I saw that affecting us as much as just the schemes and the stunts and just some of the holes that appeared, as opposed to being driven that wide open. It was almost like, hey, here, we caught this in their film, and if we counter, there's a big gap on that side of the field they may not be able to close. And I think those are the things that are fixable. And the interior little size differential there. Well, the broken tackles were happening on the edges on those plays. So that wasn't really, maybe they're getting broken because these poor little guys are too weak to wrap up. But so that wasn't it. But I will say they did get pushed around some. So got to work on that. Let's see. We won't have a great O line with Donnie coaching them. I hate to say it, but I'm convinced. I'm not. I mean, the last 2 years they just got steadily better. This year, I admit, I felt really good about it because we finally did the one thing that we've been striving to do, and that's become old again. Not have sophomores starting, redshirt freshmen in the backup spots. We've gotten to where we've got a pretty old, experienced, and starting to get deeper offensive line. So no, I don't like that we didn't open the run up better. So I don't know that's a fair point. I don't think it's fire Donnie. And because I don't think I remember it's like when we hired Donovan, I liked him better right away for the reasons I still like him until I saw that Saturday was the aggressiveness. Greg Austin had that I don't know if you call it zone blocking or what, but it just seemed like really passive, try to take up their gaps instead of let's go pancake a motherfucker. And I feel there's more of that with Donnie, but now I'm not seeing it on the pass defense. Like you're not really looking to pancake him on pass blocking. You're just trying to keep him out, but I just don't like the ground we gave up. But no, is it suddenly fire Donnie time? I don't agree, but a lot of people agree with you. So there is that. Here we go. At what point does someone other than us put Donovan and Raiola on the hot seat for our perpetually underforming old? Like I said, I don't think we're perpetually underforming. I mean, just to use one name, the last 2 years, Bryce Benhart was honorable mention All Big Ten, and those first 3 or 4 years of Benhart, the thought of him ever becoming all honorable or not anything was just unspeakable. So I don't think I thought we've improved steadily under Donovan. I don't know that you make a big leap without grabbing yourself 3 or 4 linemen out of the portal. And there's just not that many of them around. If it goes this way all season, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. If you fire Donovan Raiola, do you lose Dylan, and does Dayton decommit? Now you can say between Trey Taylor and TJ Lateef, do you really need Dayton? I don't really think at this time. I think he's the highest performing player, at least on the offense, if not on the team. And he's a sophomore team captain, so there's intangibles there, and that's one of your team leaders, along with the best player in your team. I don't think you get flippant about, hey, let's fire his uncle, after one bad game. And like I said, the answer, it's a little bit in my head too, is like, well, fuck it, we're not keeping this shitty coach because of one guy. Well, what's more important? I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying let's say once we get to that, because I don't think we're there yet. We're going to be watching it much. God, my nose itches. We're not there yet, but the lights, the room, the light in the room's been flipped on. This is being watched now, because if this becomes a thing week after week, then let's just say there's hard decision or two to be made. Good comment though. Good comments, I should say. Minnie jumped in. She goes, "What are we talking about? Girls that don't really know football?" Minnie, if you're listening, see, this is like the other night when you said I'm always negative. I did not say. I assume we're talking about my comments on the water boy. Now, and I was in the theater, and this was a lot of women turning to the men. What's this mean? That doesn't mean that none of them knew, but I feel like more women don't give a shit about football than do. And this was not a Husker football game. which I will be the first to admit that changes the odds or changes the percentages in a big way. This was a movie theater. So it's not the insult you think it was. It wasn't meant to be one. And I think I got the percentages in the theater that night about right. So back off, woman. I don't have to take your crap. Of course I do. Who am I kidding? Not good. Yeah, when Cignetti got Indiana in the playoffs and 11 wins in 1 year, yikes. Not Nebraska strong. Yeah, check John's article, and then I think he did one of his one little 10-minute rants or something on is Cignetti. It's not just us. Cignetti's going to get a lot of guys fired because, hey, there's plenty of other schools that watched Indiana go leaping by them, not just us. And you are going to see, because now all these teams fans, like, they're going to want they're going to want their own Cignetti. He's out there in 1AA. Look for 1AA, or look for was the 1AA 3 years ago team that's winning 10 games. Hire their coach. They're all imbued with this ability to make that kind of magic, right? Yeah, it wasn't a good. That's one of those things that goes way beyond Nebraska. Cignetti making the playoff. A lot of coaches in their second and third years that haven't been doing the greatest are probably going, fuck that guy. Screw Cignetti. Asshole. I don't like him. Nobody likes him. There's going to be a lot of that going on. Yeah, Sig's going to make lives miserable for some people. So let's see. I don't know what that means. Oh, there you go, Fred. Always there, Fred. We gotta get Fred's name changed to Fred. Never Northwestern. Never forget. Yeah, the only place you can see the Naked Gun and the Water Boy in the same place is in Camp Kenosha. Minnie says, now, and I'm going to ask Minnie a serious question here. She says she loved Naked Gun movies, but not an Adam Sandler fan. Now, Adam Sandler, as most of us know, there's two different Adam Sandlers. There's the Adam Sandler of like Waterboys and other movies. It's Adam Sandler. And then there's there's serious Adam Sandler that talks really low. And then there's the older, wiser Adam Sandler that kind of skewers the boys like, oh, so that's what you meant, huh? That's what I thought you meant. So do you hate just every Adam Sandler? Most people just don't, if they have to pick, don't like the Adam Sandler. So there could be a question there. Fred, now you're on the same page here. Leave Airplane alone. He probably doesn't want to see a remake. You know what? I'm open to one. If you catch that type energy, I'm open to one. Or I can go watch the old one, but I'm not totally against it. Yeah, Scott. Yeah, he brought in all the best players from Madison. That was his quick fix. But boom, there it was. He still hit that portal hard and didn't, and there weren't the 20 or whatever. I think it was like 10 or 11 Madison players. So he still hits that portal and apparently gets a home run, especially quarterback again. So yeah. Airplane's still funny. I just forgot when I was showing up to my kids that forgot that back then PG allowed you a little naked booby dance across the screen when they were all jumping around when they thought the plane was going to crash. Then I realized, I guess I'm fine with them seeing some boobs as opposed to watching somebody get their head cut off. The kids that way who are both in their 20s now, so it's a non-issue. Let's see. Blazing Saddle. Yeah, Blazing Saddles is an amazing comedy. I got to see it when I was a kid when it came out. My dad took me. He just wanted to see me lose my shit at the baked beans scene with everybody farting and, hey, Mr. Taggart, can we have some more beans? Well, I think you boys done had enough. But yeah, me losing my ass while losing my shit while they just were almost farting in a melody was, it's like naturally showed it my kids when they were about 11 just for the same reason. You're as old as I was when I saw it, and they're gonna fart. Let's go. Let's see, and they got the message with all the other talk that we do not say aloud. But yeah, just top to bottom, fantastic movie. Let's see what else we got here. Well, Oh, we could be in playoff contention if we had hired Signetti. Well, just about anyone could have. Indiana made it. Yeah, Indiana swung and hit on Signetti. Doesn't mean I'm disappointed necessarily with where we're at with Rhule. We got a lot of games left, and it looks like we are gonna. I still wouldn't be surprised to see us win 8 or 9. What else we got? Okay, saw Blazing Saddles for it. So did I make a mistake bringing this up without reading it? A few years back, still kicks ass. Felt like I'd get arrested leaving the theater after. I was laughing too hard to get in trouble leaving the theater. Let's see. Oh, what was my rabbit trail? I know these are from a little while back. Yeah, Blazing Saddles, Airplane, and Spaceballs are my favorite comedies. What are mine? Mine are Kingpin would definitely be up there. I think Tropic Thunder's up there now. Blazing Saddles would be. I'm trying to remember. There's a fourth one. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. Oh my God. Okay. I can't believe I'm putting this one up there. Was it MG Oboski? I have degrees from Michigan and Colorado, and I live in Boulder. So Saturday was really fun. Did Colorado win Saturday? Get to 500? Yeah, things seem to be going. I'll still take where we are right now, where Colorado is. Super Troopers. There's the one where they pull them over early, and my favorite part of that, the three stone kids. And my favorite part of that is it's the middle of the day, and the one guy keeps sticking his flashlight in the back seat, even though it's perfectly bright out. That killed me. Let's see. Signetti being a part of the program where the great Tom Osborne was seems sacrilegious. Yeah, but he's also part of the program where Bob Devaney and Bo Pelini were. So, I think it's all right. Let's see. Hold on. Signetti is pretty old. He may only have one more school left. He should wait for the right job. I don't think Virginia Tech just fired their coach too. Wisconsin's getting close. UCLA fired their coach. Okie State did, or Florida's quite right. UF will probably go for Kiffin. Florida? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Kiffin might be perfectly happy at Ole Miss if he keeps it up there. A lot of firings. Fickle's got to be the next to go, right? They're not going to, in Wisconsin, they're not going to stand for that for an entire season. Let's see. There we go. This was one I was waiting for. We really need to get a payday loan and get Signetti. I feel like if he was coach, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan State, Rutgers are all guaranteed wins, unlike now. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens this year. Now, if we go and win 9 this year, it'd be kind of tough to fire him. I would like to think that the Bo Pelini that the Bo Pelini shenanigans have us not firing steady 9-win coaches ever again. But who knows? But yes, like I said, just even the talk here tells me John's very much onto something when he said that Signetti's going to be the reason a lot of coaches get a shorter leash. The only big job Signetti can get at this stage is if he has another great year and DeBoer stinks it up at Bama. They may go after Signetti as quick fix architect. That'd be kind of wild, though, to be ranked 13th, and then they're still top 10 now, and then get fired because think of that. That would you just really know that things have entered an alternate universe where, let's say DeBoer, they were ranked 12th or 13th last year, or were they 11th? But they went with SMU. No, SMU I think was ranked ahead. But if they do that, let's say they actually finish in the top 10 this year, and despite the loss to Florida State, and then Alabama fires them after 2 years in which they were 10th and 12th. But we wanted to get the Indiana coach. What is happening right now? Let's see. Oh, nice backdrop. Hey, somebody know good. People are noticing the things I wanted to notice. I got a shot on Saturday, so therefore there's your red end zones. I want to get a night one eventually. I like the night drops best, but There you go. Thank you, Minnie. Thanks for noticing. Let's see. Oh, nope. You didn't mean Archie Wilson. You meant Andrew Wilson, the debater. Okay. We don't talk debate here. We just debate. But sure, we can talk about Archie. How can we not? Let's see. There's the master debater joke from somebody. King Dabo's not shockingly on the hot seat. If he gets fired in Nebraska, no, absolutely not. That's of the big name coaches that have quit or find themselves on hot seats. No way in hell. Because I'm sorry, you're never going to recruit if you're out there singing that NIL needs to go away, which it won't, and the transfer portal needs to go back to where you're suspended for a year and the coach gets to pick the schools you can't go to. Because he's literally babbling about that anytime, like kind of like Saban was, like anytime someone puts a mic in front of his mouth, and what happens? Hey, we're in the playoff, we're winning national titles, and we're sinking slowly. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, but they finished last season ranked 17th, probably about where they belong. That they won the conference playoffs, so they got to go, and got bounced a couple touchdowns, and the nuttiest thing was, hey, here's a team, and their quarterback has a big name, but definitely plays way better against shittier teams than good teams. Now he's come off against just an atrocious start to the season when they were ranked fourth. What did you see? What did anybody see at the end of last year that led you to believe this is a top 5 team suddenly? It's like, no, it's a number 17 team, and it played like a number 17 team in the playoffs, like a true ACC champion. Power 4, my ass. It's like Power 2 and then next Power 2. Power 2 and then Power is number 3 and 4. Yeah, no, don't let Dabo Swinney near this campus. He is a falling star. You'd be paying $11 million to listen to him bitch about his own players and getting paid. Absolutely ludicrous. No, not your take. Just Dabo Swinney himself. Absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, I can see it. Here's proven winning, but his days of winning that big are over. I believe, and I think it's playing out that way. He may end up unranked this season. What they just got deep pants by Syracuse, for crying out loud. I don't remember Syracuse being in that top 5 at the beginning of the year. I will say this. Hold on. It is tougher than ever to pick your preseason top 20 or 25. Because what do you do? You're basically, before you were just looking at their recruiting class and how much an effect does that always have, except for, top 5 or 6 players in the country. And there's the portal. And now if you want, and these guys are putting together polls, and your average newspaperman and coach are not spending, 7 hours with Phil Steele, their laptop up with the record holders and checking every player, every transfer portal person someone has signed. So that's how a team can come in. Because what happened? I'm wondering, maybe Clemson, maybe just based on the way that Dabo likes to talk, that he's not that interested in the transfer portal, which is a stupid place to be when there's a transfer portal. Like I said, not sure if he's avoiding that or not. Wouldn't shock me. But you just don't know who somebody brought in. Like, nobody had Indiana ranked. Why? Because they heard, hey, took on a lot of transfers, but that doesn't really mean anything. It kind of does, because when you take transfers, you're looking for the ones that, if they're not in there starting right away, they better at least be in the battle for the job. And occasionally you take guys like, say, we had Jacob Hood for a couple of years. He was a transfer from Georgia, but he was a project from day one. So there are going to be those. But yeah, my original point, it's so much tougher to pick that top 20 now, that top 25, just because you don't know what this group is, unless you want to spend a few hours getting to know every team's portal guys. I think they're just still kind of basing it off the previous year, but that was my Clemson thing. Did they think something magical was going to happen? Because me going off the previous year, I don't see anything to where they're jumping up 13 spots to one of the top 4 to be one of the top 4 teams in the country. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Campbell, we really need. Somebody brought this up with from the prospect of maybe it's why Isaiah ran out of bounds, but need to get rid of the red outside the end zone. Food for thought. I don't think he was up on the podium. I don't know that it got brought up. I didn't see where it got brought up, but they don't transcribe every single word out of their mouths. And the stuff they send us the film, they send us like the truncated version of the quotes. And I don't see where anybody asked about Isaiah, but I'm wondering if he'd say, yeah, I got a little lost. I thought I was still red, and then I saw the white line, tried to jump back, but it was too late. That wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason, because he didn't get pushed out, and he's been, as I understand it, he's one of those guys who's been doing everything right so far this year. All right. Yeah, from he's staying on board. I really like Rhule the person. Just don't think he's an elite coach with a killer instinct. Like I said, a lot of season left. We'll find out. He's definitely turned teams around before the final chapter. It wasn't that good in appearance, but I don't think it was as bad as people make it out, and I think some things are fixable. And yes, not a fan of, Fred says, and yes, not a fan of our end zone design. Reminds me of asshole Wisconsin. And he was saying hi to David Matney. Mini Hunt, I love the red, but I agree about the outline. Not sure why they didn't consider Greg's design. What was Greg's design like? Just in the red at the back of the end zone. Let's see. See, now here's the thing: plays a bit not to lose. Now I think he did that the first two seasons, because the Michigan game. I mean, wouldn't you say that going forward on fourth down on the first drive? That's definitely playing. That's definitely not playing not to lose. That's playing to win, maybe a little too quickly, if anything. Now I think the best thing that happened for him was getting Holgorsen in. I believe that he and Holgorsen, not like, oh, we're fighting over, it's disrespectful. They're in each other's faces. But I get the feeling these two have had some talks that Holgersen's like, no, I'm not going to hang back and take the easy thing. No, we're not going to. I don't want to run it up the middle just to run it up the middle and be old Nebraska. I get the feeling they argue about that a little, and I get the feeling Dana's winning those arguments, and we're seeing a lot more, and we're seeing more points. Cincinnati could have been more. Cincinnati had a lot of almost plays against a team that was. I don't want to say they were in prevent, but they were in like deep cover 3 the whole game. So they were very much focused on don't allow the big plays. Let's see. Oh God! Thank goodness I hate Bert as much as Fred does. Bert said, "Heard all the buffets in a 50-mile radius of Champaign were put on red alert after that loss." Yeah, if he eats to make his sorrows go away, I would agree. Let's see. Pit Snipe is in. Hey, all, I'm late. My daughter needed. Let's see. He's been here for a while now. I'm only getting caught up to about 8:43 on the comments. But they say my daughter needed a tax seminar. She didn't want it, but she got it. Laugh out loud. Minnie, which one? Greg's black shirt in zone or the one with Greg's open mouth that counts as a double extra point? I don't see it. I don't know. Oh, God. So those are real things because Minnie said the latter, of course. Fred wants to know if Pitt's knocked out. He's been a bit moody. Andy, did you paint your walls? If we were talking about painting walls, I'm sure it just meant it from a joking standpoint and didn't really ever have the house paint. No, I wasn't about to go and do that. That was just coming up the meeting. Yeah, Andy has dry mouth from visiting Colorado dispensaries. Andy has dry mouth from a steep little hike that definitely cost me a few pounds. I've still got a little headache coming back. That had gone away. So yeah, just to know we're not going much beyond. We're not going to go really beyond 2 hours here. So we're coming down at like on our final 10 minutes because I need to get a lot more water. I need to get another dose of good old ibuprofen. Pitt took umbrage at Moody. He wasn't Moody. I just made a bad joke. Tin Cup reference. They can't all be bangers. Oh, God love Tin Cup. They did Tin Cup on the rewatchables, Bill Simmons, and it was a pretty good one. It was also one where, not for the first time, I would accuse Bill. I think there were four of them, and I would accuse Bill and one other of not having watched it recently, just from some of the things they said. I'm like, no, that never happened in the movie. Let's see. And now when a TD gets caught in Greg's mouth, the stadium plays. What's Greg drinking today? Oh, we're all getting giddy here at the end. I think Minnie's head is going to explode if Troy Dannon fires Rhule and brings in Signetti at the end of the season. No, Minnie's head's going to explode if they fire Donovan Rhule and Dylan follows him out the door. That's when they're going to be. What will we say there? She will become a person of interest following some vandalism and probably a couple of deaths. Let's see here. I've moved on from operating costs. Thank you, though, Scott. Let's see. Well, we've seen how the experts, Justin Rogie, we've seen how the experts, quote, know football the last few weeks. Oh, yeah. Because one thing I have gotten right is Arch Manning. And it wasn't like an insult. Arch seems like a nice kid. Gunnar Stockton's, his grandmother, my Aunt Kay, said that Gunnar said he met him. Seems like a really nice kid. But even she was going, I just don't know if he's that good. And that was 3 weeks before the season started. And I don't know. I've said it. I've been saying for a year. It wasn't like, oh, he's going to suck. Now, if you ask me which would be more likely, bust or Heisman, I'd take bust. And I that's not something I latched onto 3 weeks ago. I've been saying that since last year when he was redshirting, just because he went to a small school, not a disqualifier, but then would not do like the Nike Rivals type summer camps where you get to go compare yourself, go up at least in flag football against 5-star talent. And instead he skipped all that. I guess, who knows, the advice might have been, look, you're already the number one recruit. You're getting the top NIL deals. You don't risk that by going out and putting it on the line in those camps. Yeah, but dude, you're going to put it on the line, but you're going to have to do it eventually. Did you hurt yourself by not taking that chance to go into that level of competition? You're still going to get plenty of NIL. You should have competed. And if they start not knocking you down, believe me, it's going to cut. Even if you got through that, you were going to have this season. And when you decide to enter the draft, you're going to have to go perform anyway. And it's going to come out then at the combines and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, what was it? The other red flag, and this was something else someone said, was here he was redshirting last year. Well, Quinn Ewers started. Well, if you're good enough, if you're good enough to where in 2025 you're going to come in and start as a redshirt freshman, or I guess he's redshirted. It's his third year. I thought he was in Dylan's class, or was he the year before? Because maybe this is his third year. But in any case, it's your third year. In your second year, supposedly after your third year, you're gonna win the Heisman your third year, then go be the number one pick in the draft. Well, in that second year, if you can't beat out a 7th-round draft pick, I think that's a red flag. You may not be all that. The coaches obviously looked at you, who in 18 months is going to be going number one in the draft. But I still feel better about the guy who's going to be going in the last round of the draft. So yeah, that's the experts for you, and they still got him. I think at about 7th or 8th in the Heisman odds to win the Heisman, which bookies aren't telling you who they think will win things. They are trying to figure out who other people think will win things, who would vote today for that person, and I think they're guessing right that there's still a lot of writers out there, let's say a lot of Shedeur cheerleaders. I'm looking at you. Oh God, Skip Bayless. Mel Kiper Jr. And then was it Ryan Clark getting in on it where, oh my God, these people are idiots. Shedeur should be leading a team. It's like, And at the end of preseason camp, he's the slowest to get rid of a ball of any quarterback that played in the preseason. It is being then now there's a light on what he did at Colorado is would never stay in a pocket because they were saying like Brown's line sucks. He's already getting sacked a bunch again. Like that's other people's fault. No, he will not stay in that pocket for more than 2 seconds. And then he's running out the back of it. He's leaving the protection, and the guys being held outside are chasing him down. And he loves to scramble, even though his 40 time is probably a little slower than Dylan's. and not it's not Lamar Jackson's speed, which is how he runs around back there. But even in the face of getting sacked, even at the NFL level, his completion percentage is still more important to him than his team's success, which would probably be helped if he was their starter and refused to throw the ball away and took 5-6 sacks a game just because he won't throw it away. So yeah, but experts are still Shedur's the best. It's like, well, Shadur had Travis Hunter. Now he doesn't have an NFL equivalent of Travis Hunter, who's there to bail out a lot by being wide open when he wants to go running around with his 5'1", 5'2", 40. But yeah, there's people just don't want to admit they're wrong. That's where I think the stuff like Arch still being there, DJ Lagway after 5 picks against LSU, he can still get it together. It's funny, there are a lot of these 5 stars like Arch, like DJ Lagway, a couple others who are 5-star guys, and Dylan's afraid to play for Georgia or Ohio State. Well, yeah, he's not getting protected as well, and he's starting to shine ahead of most of those guys in his class and say the class before. So don't always listen to the experts. That includes me, except I'm not an expert. I just try to throw a little common sense at things at time and not go with I don't go necessarily, I'm not going against the wave to go against it. I'm just saying is while they're all cheering for this guy, is there actual facts that are warning us that he could be wrong? I'll admit I was wrong about Manziel. I thought Manziel would be good. One thing I did say was that when it came around to draft time, and some of his statements were getting really off kilter, and you're finally starting to hear some of the behind the scenes stuff about just how unfocused, to put it mildly, he is, and all the other problems. And I did make this statement. I said, the one thing I will guarantee you that's not going to happen is he's not going to lead a mid-level team and have an average like NFL career and start for 8-9 years. I said, he's either going to do to the NFL what he did to the NCAA, or he is going to flame out and be done in a year or two. And there's going to be some Ryan Leaf in there, and that proved to be the one. But yeah, sometimes we all get fooled. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, Fred from the guy that just yells at people to get off his lawn. Shocking. Fred doesn't just yell at him to get off his lawn. He curses a lot. He tells the kids on his lawn inappropriate jokes. Let's see. What else we got here? What are we on time? I just did a couple little rants there. All right. Let me squeeze. I'm going to start getting to the goodbye part of it. Guys, thanks so much for the comments. I love it. It looks we got it. Shockingly, we got a decent crowd that found us a little better than usual. So thanks for finding me when I was telling people 8 p.m. Central at first, where I had posted for a 9 p.m. start. So I'm glad you showed up. Yeah, oh God, if the wheels fall off this year, Mike Gundy is now available. Well, I don't know if he can bring some of the corpse of T. Boone Pickens cash with him. We'll do that. Hey, I did have to admit to many though, because Mike always annoyed me. He was not the hero of "I'm a man, I'm 40," supposedly defending his backup quarterback because, as his family had said, he was shitty to that quarterback. But here's some Oregon guys I saw on Twitter. It was a video of him heckling the shit out of Mike Gundy as he walked by, and he turned around to talk to him, and then he said, "Hey, you guys all want to?" And he took a picture with them all. That is a level of nice I can only hope to achieve someday. That was something else. Good for you, Mike Gundy. Um, yeah. Now here's what I wouldn't mind is do one of those advisors thing where like, you know, where Steve's Sarkeesian had his drinking problem at Southern Cal, fired. Saban brought him in, as advisor, showed he'd cleaned his beak a little, and ends up being, I think, he was offensive coordinator there, right? And then goes to Texas. Now he's the head coach at Texas. Now we'll see if he can make all of Texas's dreams come true. No one's ever more overrated than Texas, but yeah, sometimes hiring those advisors worked out. Hey, what the heck? I mean, Dana Holgerson came in here as an advisor for about 2 days. Yeah, there you go. There's many. I like Gundy. Maybe you'll like Aiden Childs. Sparty does. We will see there. Jonathan Smith was an interesting hire for him when we got them in 2 weeks. Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't want Gundy as a head coach. Now, I kind of feel like he's been through the gauntlet, but you could always bring him in and and see if he can help out. Get him one of those $200,000 a year advisor jobs. Let's see, quality control. There's the mullet. Fred, what is the first meeting of the Gunnar Gotula fan club you started? There's a woman I used to work with, Janet Gotula, and I believe he's a nephew of hers, but every now and then she's part of the tailgate I used to go to here and there. And so I'll get there before I head upstairs. I at least a few times a year now try to get over there to say hi, and she's part of that crowd, and I can tell you she's proud as hell of Gunnar and good for him. Now Gunnar, hold the line next time, don't back up. that was the tackles. Let's see, him and Teddy. No mullets. However, Rockin' the Carlin better be encouraged because Dana and Butler are both got those skullets, pride going proud. And they both like cats as much as me and my bald spot do as well. I say that. I mean, I've been ball cap addicted since I could walk, probably. It's probably why I'm bald, is ball cap scraping that up. Oh, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, they're awarding points to each other. Hang on. I apologize. Lots of good comments. Holy moly, you guys went nuts. Yeah, there was no way I was going to get through all these, and I'm not kidding. You can hear me now, like snorting and chugging the water. I need to attack the medicine, and I'm gonna watch the latest episode. I've been watching The Rainmaker on Peacock, and I enjoy it. It's the John Grisham book. The movie starred Matt Damon. This one's taken. I'm not sure. Like it says season 1. I don't know if they're just redoing the book in limited series form, or if they're gonna run with it and have other good stories to go after this one. It uses the same names, and there's sort of the same lawsuit going on, but there's a lot of changes and to the story itself. And like we're barely in the courtroom. We're not even in the courtroom. I think there's been a couple motions to dismiss that ain't gonna happen in a series called The Rainmaker. And yeah, and also for fans of The Lincoln Lawyer, if you remember Lisa Tremel, who was his girlfriend in season 2 on the restaurant, and then turned out to be the murderer. She's got the Mickey Rourke role now. She's Bruiser Stone, and she's a badass. She's a lot of fun. And because Mickey, remember in the book and in the movie, Mickey's character's in there little at the beginning, and then he's being investigated, so he just skips off to the Caymans for the rest of the movie. Doesn't look like our new Bruiser's going anywhere. It's a good cast. It's fun so far. I'd say give it a try, but they didn't drop the whole series at once. They're doing the week by week thing, and I waited for 5 weeks, and I couldn't wait anymore. Good stuff though. First 4 episodes that I've seen. All right, I gotta go, folks. Holy God! Wait, there it was finally ending. God, I don't know if maybe you guys can stand and keep your chat going. I'm not sure if it shuts off when the program shuts off, because I know you can get in there before. As soon as I posted the program, you don't have to wait for the program to start. So if you guys are having a fun chat there, go on without me. I'd be tempted to do it most nights. But thank you for being here, everybody that found us tonight after the 1 hour late start. Good for you. I'll be back from somewhere else in Colorado next Tuesday. Next week, I got this book because I hiked a stretch of the Divide a few years ago, but best hikes of the Continental Divide. They've got a lot of like 1 day hikes. So I was when I started heading back for Omaha, I was gonna see if I could knock off 2 or 3 of those in the early days next week. But I will be in a hotel somewhere next Tuesday. We'll talk more about the Michigan State game. Also at home, I think isn't that our last home game before we hit the road again, or do we have one more? I know we had a heck of a home stretch, like John Singleton was. Somebody asked him, so how does it feel knowing you got, you don't have to hit the road for another 44 days? How does that feel? And he's like, 40 is like 41 plus some days. I'm like, 40 whatever days? Man, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm all for that. And so it sounded like he didn't mind a little home cooking. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that one is at home. If it's not, you know where to find me next week and tell me I'm wrong. It's not a new thing for me, guys. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for putting up with me. I am going to be under the covers watching some, like I said, watching some Rainmaker in under 10 minutes. And I will see you guys next Tuesday. I'll keep checking our website for articles. Keep checking the tweets. I try to get a decent number of those out each day, and that's just whatever the hell seems interesting, whether it's quotes at press, which there aren't going to be any of this week, at press conferences, retweeting some funny stuff, any interesting stats. You see anything good you think I'm missing, all you got to do is DM Coordination on Twitter. And remember to watch Monday Night Therapy. John's back on with that, I believe. Or is Minnie doing? I'm never sure whether John's all the way back, because Minnie was doing it when he took a little sabbatical. So, but regardless, who's on it, Monday Night Therapy on Monday, Huskers Happy Hour on Tuesday, the 5 Heart on Thursday with Greg and Minnie. And with that, I think I've pumped everything I possibly can. I love you guys. Go Big Red forever. Go Big Red. And I will hopefully see you guys next Tuesday, and we can make fun of some other people. And I will try and have some hot takes that aren't too stupid. I will read yours happily. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the bye weekend. Watching football without pressure. Yeah, you guys do. I got Georgia, Alabama. My step cousin he won his big road game. Now he gets to try and win his first big home game. And may all go well in college football. Hey, we can't lose a heartbreaker this weekend. Good night, everybody. See you next Tuesday.